Hello, Sanbonani Babugel, and welcome to this week's exciting edition of your favorite program, Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We are coming to you live here on SABC 1 in Mzansi for sure. Sikona futhi na ku SABC Plus. If whenever you've downloaded the app, uhleli nomangcolo sike umazikhali mbukeli. Ungangibiza uAlisha, ungangibiza uNhlanhla. Those are all my names. Udaba lethu namhlanje mbukeli abathengi phela bombani wohlobo leli olubizwa prepaid. Bakhala kakhulu bathi bayasindwa ukukhokha phela imali eyongezwiwe kwaze kwafaka nalo 200 rand ngenyanga ngaphezulu kwale mali abebeyikhokhela phela kuma units ombani. Kodwa ke ngathi umasipala yena ufuna ukuqhubeka ngale fixed charge engene ekuqaleni kwale nyanga the 1st of July. Singabe samosha isikhathi mbukeli silifakele ibuko lolu daba. Well, the cost of electricity mbukeli is biting more and more on already struggling and overburdened and indebted South African consumers. In addition to a more than 12% rate hike, Johannesburg's prepaid meter consumers will have to fork out an additional 200 rand monthly fixed charge. Abathengi bathi ke ngeze abayikhoni kulomboni lobukhulu ababhekene nabo ngeke bakwazi ngempela ukuthi bayikhokhe le mali. Ake sibheke nanku umbiko umbukeli ukuthi wona usiphatheleni.
Iqale kakubi lenyanga kubathengi bombane wohlobo lweprepaid eGauteng. Kaloku bavuke sebejamelene nexabiso lombane elixhome ngemali eyongezekileyo yama200 erandi nekumele bayihlawule ngenyanga. Xeshelo amaxabiso e-rates nawo asanda konyuka ngepesenti ezingaphaya kwe12. Esisixa esiqingqiwe serandi ezingama200 kuthiwa lixabiso abathengi ekumele balihlawule ukuzisa umbane emakhayeni. Abathengi bavathi qaqa bathi unotshe impokotho zabo asinomelana nokukuxhoma kombane.
You know, I stay in Eldorado Park, and this tariff increase, it's going to affect the people a lot, especially the community I stay in. There's your under middle class that's just kind of surviving without the increase. So let me give you an example. If they buy 50 rand lights or 50 rand units, it doesn't last them that long. Can you imagine going for 50 rand units when there's already extra 230 rand added to that? How does that work?
In Tembuwuti, we're paying for all the years that the infrastructure has not been well kept in this country, right? So we've had infrastructure, but it's not been well maintained. And right now, I believe we're paying for that.
This monthly one, this prepaid, for prepaid, it's too much because we're already paying too much money for electricity. E-units, they don't match the amount that you pay for umbane in the first place.
I just feel that it's unfair to keep increasing the tariffs because the municipality has a debt to Eskom and that they have to now cough up this money from somewhere. We as the consumers need to now cough up that because maybe they haven't properly collected from some consumers.
Abathengi bathi baqutyulwe ngale mali ye200 yombane ehlawulwa ngenyanga. Abasemagunyeni bona baphefumle benjenje.
You can't get away with not paying for your services, your rates, sewer, pick it up. So what we're going to see is people's general lifestyles are going to suffer. Fixed charges you can't really do much about. But the big thing is next year when we do have our public participation, which usually starts in March, April, is use your voices. We as residents have an opportunity to object to these tariffs, but it's not very well known and explored as residents. And we really do need to use the voices that we have to object to these increases.
It's really going to affect the people badly. Really, if I can tell you, especially us who are managing these properties, especially in the CBD, for these low-income houses, we are faced with the challenges where people boycotting even to pay us. They then tell you that, no, you are representing us. You must go and talk with the city of Joburg. We are not paying it. And you must remember, these are people that also voted these people that are sitting at the municipality.
Ukanti umbutho ochasene nokusetyenziswa kakubi kwerhafu i-Organisation Undoing Tax Abuse i-awutha ke ngamafutshane uthi abathengi mabavuke emaqandeni bengekoyeli ngenxa yomasipala oNyaniso ishokoxekile.
This tariff is a lazy fundraising exercise by the city to try and cover up their massive consumer debt. At this point, they are owed over 49 billion, with a B, by customers. They should really be pushing for people to be on prepaid, because in that way, there's no risk to the city of this growing debt. And by implementing this charge, they're now putting people from prepaid into debt. Because what happens, for instance, if you don't buy electricity every month? You buy 1 month, then you don't buy the next, and when you buy the following month, you will be charged the previous month's tariff and the service charge before you can accumulate units. So therefore, you are now creating a debt cycle with the city for prepaid customers. And I don't think that that has been sufficiently mentioned to people.
Kulandela isikhalo sabathengi, umasipala ugqibele ngelithi baza kuzikisa ukucinga ngale ntlawulo yombane we-prepaid. Kazi iyozala nkomoni, Phaphama Changana, Yilungelo Lakho.
Siyabonga kakhulu Phaphama ngalo mbiko. A very, very shocking insert there ezovusa abantu abaningi ukuthi babone ukuthi cha kunzima ngempela. Siyabonga ke ku producer ethu Phaphama ngalo mbiko wethu. Asamukele manje ke izivakashi zethu ukuthi bakhulume nathi kabanzi ngalolu daba. We do have insizwa ubhuti Nyaniso Jeku umeleke ne umasipala iCity of Johannesburg siphinde sibe naye uJennifer Tselentis okhulumela iSouth African Consumer Union. Jennifer, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Nyaniso?
All right, all right.
Welcome to both of you. Jennifer, I want to quickly start with you because I suppose a lot of complaints are going to be directed towards Nyaniso for the duration, most part of this show. So tell us a bit about the South African National Consumer Union. What exactly is it that you do there?
We're a voluntary body, and it was instituted by the government many, many years ago. They've been going for about 35 years, so it's a long time. We actually support the consumer, as our name says, but what we actually do is we sit on boards. We sit on all the different grain boards, dairy South Africa, potatoes, wine. So we actually sit on these boards and we monitor what they're doing. Most of these boards cannot put, for instance, I wish it had happened with the city of Johannesburg, can't put an increase on levies, for instance, or surcharges on grains without our vote. So the boards are normally a maximum 12 people, but you could have 11 people say, no, fine, and I would be sitting there and say, no, the consumer cannot take another increase. You need to rework the model. And we have done that. We've done it often in the past. So this is what we actually do. For instance, when the Poultry Association were allowing 30% brine put into chickens, we went up against them and made them stop.
Okay.
We actually got it down to 15%. We have done the same thing with chicken dumping or meat dumping in this country. So although we're a crowd at the moment, mainly women, in fact 2 of our men have resigned, we are very feisty and we fight for the consumer. And if you come to us with a problem, we'll see what we can do.
All right, Jennifer, we're going to be feisty throughout the rest of this program. So, Nyaniso, once again, Yilungelo, you saw the insert. A lot of people, first of all, they do not understand because babetwe zi double charges at the beginning of this month. Firstly, it was the NERSA approved tariff last year, lega 12.7%. And then, of course, kwangena le 200 rand How do you explain this to consumers?
You know, I think what first needs to be understood is that it is legislated that the city must consider or determine tariff increases annually. And this happens and is implemented from the 1st of July each year until the 30th of June the following year. That is the city's financial year. And while so much noise and reactions have been created around the tariff increase, particularly affecting electricity, but the city supplies 5 services to the consumer, to residents. This is electricity, water, property rates, refuse, sewer, and all of that. Now, those are the tariffs which are increased. The reason why there is noise about prepaid electricity in particular, it is because it came into effect on the 1st of July. So as soon as you bought electricity on the 1st of July, that's when you saw the difference of the 200 rands additional increase. But generally and overall, tariffs have increased. And I think I must say it right now, while prepaid customers are paying 200 rands additional charges on their electricity, postpaid customers are paying 930 rands, and it has always been there. And that is what is happening. So this is done not only for the city to generate revenue, it is for the city to sustain service delivery. And as you know that any business, if you buy and sell a product, you add markup to cover your operational cost. And that's what the city is done. It buys electricity from Eskom. The 12.74% we're talking about is electricity increase, which is directed at electricity customers. Those who are supplied electricity by the city of Johannesburg waits for the city of Johannesburg to buy electricity from Eskom, then supply that electricity through its distribution network, infrastructure and everything. And I think we'll expand on why the 200 rands. But I think that is what needs to be understood, that these are legislated tariff increases that happens every year.
All right, cool. Sizawuthatha ngambukele emva kwaleli khefu, because there is quite a lot to uncover as well as follow up pertaining to lama charges. Abantu abaningi abathi either they can't afford them or it's not feasible. Siyabuya emva kwaleli khefu ngendawo. Siphinde sikwamukele futhi ingcingo zethu-ke manje sengizivulile. Ungathatha phela ithuba nawe ukuthi ubeke umbono wakho noma ubuze umbuzo. The participation lines 011-714-0671, alternatively 714-0672. You can send us a WhatsApp on 060-844-9857 or email us your thoughts to consumer@sabc.co.za. Alternatively, find us on our social media platforms. Sikhuluma ke mbukeli namhlanje ngale tariff ediwe lapha yakumbani nalabo futhi ba prepaid sebethola ukuthi manje sekumele bakhokhe an additional 200 rand once a month uma bezocharge. My guest today, Nyaniso Jeku ovela lapha City of Johannesburg, alongside Jennifer Tselentis ovela lapha eSangtu. So Nyaniso, you were still explaining to us ukuthi obviously isity kunyanzele kuba ifumaniseke imali nantontonton, but xa ungachazela umuntu, because one of the reasons esizivayo for the additional 200 rand, particularly for abantu bama prepaid meters, is that isity it's for maintenance, ama-cost maintenance, nama services. So how long are we going to keep paying the additional 200 rand? Is it for a set period or it's forever?
200 rands is about monthly whenever you buy electricity.
Yes, just once a month.
Just once a month.
Okay.
So you buy electricity. If you buy electricity 10 times a month, you still only pay once a month. So it's a monthly charge. Encedisana nomasipala ukuba a maintain infrastructure. And this is what you must understand. Uthenga umbane ndithi ngalo mali uthenga ngayo. Then the next thing yenzekayo umbane usendlini yakho.
Yes.
What you must ask yourself, ufike njani umbane endlini yakho? When if ubhadala 200 yombane oyithengileyo, let's say 500 rands, and ufumana umbane we 500, naphi apho uthenga khona uyayihlawulela i-delivery yale nto uyithengayo. Noba uthenga ibhedi, noba uthenga isofa, noba uthenga
Nyaniso, but we've been buying ngale model A1 all along.
No.
So
What has been happening, there was a cross-subsidization by postpaid customers. Prepaid customers, what they are now paying is what wonke umuntu oku-conventional metering system kamasipala i-postpaid ebeyibhatalela. So nina i-prepaid customers bezingabhatali ukutransportwa kwe-electricity ziye ezindlini zazo. Bezingabhatali uku-available kwe-network esa umbane kwakho. Xa wethenga electricity umthenge ngamnye ufika uthi Nyaniso Jeku uzothenga umbane ubanike imeter number. Xa uba ne-meter number gqiba ifaka iyatsho uba nguNyaniso Jeku lo endlini ethile. From there unikwa umbane. Xa ufika neslip sakho uphantsa i-numbers umbane okhona. Already it means you are known by umasipala. I-infrastructure knows you. Lo mbane travels nge-lines zikamasipala ukuyofika endlini yakho, and that is what you are paying for, because layer consumption kukuba usebenzise wena.
So we're not paying for this before.
You were not paying for this, and this would have happened as far back as 2018. It would have happened. A decision was taken, and due to COVID and many other factors, implementation was delayed. But wonke umuntu oku postpaid uyayibhatalela, ubhatalela umbane lo usebenzayo ogqiba ubhatalela i-930 rands, and I think this is what must be highlighted, i-930 for abantu abaku postpaid, so that umasipala can continue to sustain. The risk in not paying for infrastructure maintenance ne-availability network is that once umasipala angakwazi maintain infrastructure, akho umuntu uzakwazi uba nombane, including aba bawubhatalayo, including aba bawafotayo, because i-network kamasipala ne-infrastructure kamasipala i-one for bonke abathengi bombane. So that is what is happening. And if you apply business model out there, everybody pays for a delivery service.
Okay. Maseve, Jennifer, I mean, you're hearing his argument, right? He says this is for maintenance and infrastructure.
Just following him.
Then, of course, I mean, I'm asking, why was it not charged back when people were actually given those, when those prepaid meters were actually installed in their houses? He says there was quite a few decisions or situations like COVID-19 that actually had to set back some of the issues pertaining to that. So what is unjust about this whole situation?
There's a couple of things I don't agree with. First of all, you started off the conversation by saying that this 200 Rand was a normal markup from Eskom. You already mark up your electricity that you buy from Eskom. You buy at a wholesale price, you sell it to us at your retail price. We don't have any say in that. You say that postpaid customers pay an extra 900 Rand. And I don't actually believe that, because it would mean that most of your people would be taken out of your electricity loop, or you would end up with huge unpaid bills, which is what you are doing at the moment. Last year and the year before, you started to implement a whole process of getting your money back. You closed down companies, you did all sorts of things. What happened to that?
Hold that thought, Jennifer, because I want to quickly go to the lines and take a Majaji from Witbank. Majaji, thank you so much. Ukuthi usifonele usishayile ucingo kuhlelo Yilungelo Lakho. Singakusiza kanjani namhlanje umbono noma umbuzo? Majaji, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Look, when coming to this hiking of tariffs, it's just going to push people off grid, and I'm referring to those who can afford. And as for those who cannot afford, while we're having these climate changes where there is fire everywhere and everything, this country is going to just go into fire, because people who cannot afford, they will start doing outside fires just to get warm or just to prepare meals. Because during the sleep only, for only maybe 4 hours, from 3 maybe to 6 o'clock, when my geyser is on, when around 6:30 when I leave the house, I've already exhausted 30 kilowatts. What is that? I mean, within 4 hours, you have spent 30 kilowatts for electricity, which you are only heating the geyser. So in a natural fact, we are going to be out of this electricity. I don't know if it's a matter of us being the provided electricity by one company, which is the monopoly, or what will happen.
All right.
Should we go ICP? Should we go nuclear? Something should tell.
All right, my judge, thank you so much for your points there. And very interesting, Nyaniso, because a lot of people were saying this could possibly push further illegal or stolen electricity connections due to the fact that, as my judge is saying, isn't this going to push people off the grid because they just simply cannot afford it?
The comment about illegal connection to the city's grid is regrettable. I think at no stage in the country we should ever encourage illegality.
Oh, no, we absolutely not. Yes, yes.
And if you look at the statement, just to answer what Jenny was saying, anybody who has a house, who has a municipal bill, knows what I'm talking about. There's a service charge there, there's a network charge. Over and above your consumption, the exact amount of electricity you've used, and that is what is the additional charge you are paying. We really plead with the residents and everyone else to take this as part of the cost of living, because there is a cost of living to life, and the general problem that I think is affecting a lot of consumers and property owners is that there's a general escalation of the cost of living in South Africa. While they may be crying about the city of Johannesburg, the problem here is really not that it's the city of Johannesburg. It's a variety of other aspects. And if we're a community who is prepared to pay for the services we're consuming, then let's live in a way that says, okay, now there's additional payment for electricity, municipal services. In fact, into eyenza uba ukwazi uphila endlini yakho these services kamasipala without umbane, without amanzi, without itruck kamasipala emnyango kumzi ngamnye kule 900,000 apha eJoburg. If inkunkuma yakho ayiqokelelwanga uzophila kanjani? If you flush itoilet, udrain amanzi ngeshower uthini, suddenly ayihambi. So we must picture that situation. I think we take lightly and for granted is services as provided ngumasipala. We shouldn't be a community efuna uphila, not recognizing that ubomi bethu is driven by his services. Siyahlamba, Alicia, siyapheka, siyatya, sisabantwana besikoleni. I-household zethu azikwazi uba khona without i-services zikamasipala. Yet umasipala ngabona abantu abangabhatalwayo. Umntu kwakhe xa esenza ilist yezinto azozibhatala, I can tell you what features first engazubhatalwa ngumasipala. And yet I don't mention things, but you find that we are prepared to pay for any other service and any other product except Maspala. And we need to understand that if Maspala cannot be paid or generate revenue, its service delivery will not be sustainable.
Oh, of course, Nyaniso, but then, I mean, I think we're going to talk about it after the break because I've so much rebuttal to leso statements. Mbukele asiphinde sihlangane emva kwalezi itolo sakhuluma ngalama extra charges osuhlangane nawo wena lapha kugesi. We back shortly after this. Ngaindawo. Mbukeli kubhizi la e-studio, as we're even talking off air about lento yokuthi cha abantu abaningi. The thing is, you got surprised when you went to number one recharge ugesi at the end, at the 1st of July. Wathola ukuthi there is 2 charges ngoku, kune extra 200 rand kanye futhi nolokuzana nogesi vele wona in general uphinde wanyuswa lapha with about 12.47%. Leyo ke besiyazi, but abaningi bebengazi ukuthi lo 200 rand for ama prepaid meter users wona aqhamukapi. Let's quickly go to the lines. Anonymous here in Johannesburg, we welcome you on the show. Please go ahead with your comments.
Sanibona ninjani?
Siyaphila sisunjani?
Ngiyaphila. Ngicela ukubuza, mina ngihlala ngedwa ne?
Yebo sis.
And every month mina igesi yami ngithenga u200 rand.
Yes.
I no longer use e-geyser at home. I only use gas stove. And then the only thing that I use for electricity is my fridge and my charging and the TV. Those are the only things that I'm using for Yilungelo.
Yeah.
So njengoba ngicela ukuthenga electricity manje yavele yahamba yonke. I had to ukuthi ngihambe ngiyothenga enye. So ngifuna ukunderstanda ukuthi in this situation kwenzakala kanjani because of thina abanye siyabulaleka ngoba athi sisebenzisa ngako ugesi. Angisebenzisi at all, ngihlala ngisemsebenzini, ngihlala ngedwa. I don't cook ngidla emsebenzini. So I just wanted to find out ukuthi in this situation kwenzakala kanjani.
Siyabonga kakhulu, Anonymous from Johannesburg. Nyaniso, and this was the issue, right? Uguti, a lot of people that there is a group in classify luba ama non-indigenous labantu abangakhona ukuthi ba afford the electricity. So you did group them, but intendi understand uba 66 of in total of 100, I think it's 187 yibo that actually qualified uguti banyusela ma tariffs. So in relation to lababa 66 aba approve uguti they can actually charge this 200 rand extra surge for relokuzana for maintenance. Did you consider lababantu abafana no Anonymous uguti there could possibly be people that cannot afford the new tariff?
Okay, uthetha ngomasipala abamasipala by 66 which includes Johannesburg were approved by NESA, Johannesburg Electricity Power, by NESA to increase their tariffs, and this is because they did provide NESA with a cost of supply, something which basically explains that singumasipala weJoburg, this is what it cost us to supply electricity. These are the number of households esinazo kwamasipala to which we transport electricity, and this is how we maintain infrastructure yetu. Hence we are a part of the list of 66 municipalities which are approved out of 257. Now, umasipala considers abantu abaphuwa, and I think we also need to understand that the pensioners zine rebates ezifumanayo.
Yes.
Abantu aba-indigent
but included in this new ilokuzana 200 rand extra charge.
Abantu aba-indigent ayo 12.7% increase, is around 6% increase yabo, number one. Number two, wonke umuntu who cannot afford, umuntu uthi I fall under the category yes social expanded package kamasipala is encouraged to visit offices kamasipala and present their case and say Nyaniso Jeku, I cannot afford, this is my situation. Then masipala looks at that list. Hence we go out encouraging abantu to come forward and explain their situation, and this gets reviewed every 6 months so that it benefits only the right and relevant people. So we take that into account as well.
So ngathi Anonymous, because now she uses electricity very sparingly according to her. Ubana izinto ezifana namagiza nantontonton, she doesn't use lezo zinto endlini. She cooks at work nantontonton most of the time. She's at work, and she only buys electricity once, which is 200 rand. But now she couldn't afford it at the end of this month.
I think affordability firstly is in multiple folds. There's affordability due to poverty, and that is accommodated by the municipality through its indigent program. There's affordability due to elderly age. All pensioners get a rebate kwa masipala, but there's a lack of affordability as a result of many other aspects. So we're saying there is now, and this is what encouraging residents to understand, there is an increase and an additional charge of 200 rands. Meaning when you buy electricity with 200 rands, you are not going to get electricity for 200 rands, right? And that must be, so you now have to understand that you have a duty to pay the municipality for the availability of the network that supplies electricity to a property. One, for the infrastructure itself. So don't buy with 200 rands anymore. Buy more so that you cater for the 200 rands. But if you don't cater for the 200 rands, then you, I mean, this is what is happening right now.
Jen, I see you shaking your head there because I think it was very clear from the consumer there that she just does not have disposable income where she could afford an additional 200 rand for electricity every month.
Now, before the increase went through, it's very interesting because you had to apply to NERSA for an increase.
Yeah.
Okay. And NERSA then went public. In fact, we were one of the institutions that put in letters at the time, and they take it to the public, and then they decide what the increase can be. Okay, what South Africa can afford. But you've managed to add another almost 20% increase by doing it under the table, by bringing in a surcharge, which I bet you is not being ring-fenced for your infrastructure development and repair. It's going to go into the general fiscus. So that money, my 200 rand, your 200 rand, can be used on upgrading motor cars, putting up councillors' salaries, having lovely cocktail parties, buying fancy office furniture. No, I'm not being ridiculous, but once it goes into the fiscus, where nobody has any control of where it's going to be spent, because it disappears.
Jennifer, I want to understand something. Were you part of course, I understand the city of Johannesburg actually advertised that there were public participations, that people can come in and actually give their input whether or not they could afford during this cost affordability survey that they were doing. And do you know at the stage if there's any litigation that is going on the side of that against the city on the increases?
I know that ARTA is going to take it further.
Yeah.
I know that the Minister of Electricity...
Are you, as Sanku, not going to be part of...
We will supply backing and information.
And support,
remember
yes.
that we're a voluntary organisation, okay? We don't have a war chest. So when we normally go in with people, we will be friends of the court, we will give them... We are housed in SABC. Okay? A lot of our ex-members worked for SABC as engineers, as scientists, developing standards, testing all sorts of things, including electricity stuff. In fact, big on it. Your geysers, all your big cabling, the carriers of those cabling were all tested. So we actually have access to a lot of knowledge and information which can be channeled through us to court cases, whatever. ARTA often comes to us and says, can you help on this matter or that matter?
All right, so that's the matter that is currently ongoing.
So that would be our role.
Okay. Nyaniso, I know you are dying to respond.
No, you know, what I want to respond to particularly, it's the sensationalized untruths that create problems out there. Statements such as what you were saying, money spent on cocktails, money spent on all those things, there's no such thing. What residents must understand is that as long as they have power within the boundaries of the city of Johannesburg, then the R200 is spent on the right things to be spent on. Never there was a day where there was a blackout, where it's dark in the city of Johannesburg, except when we have experienced load shedding, something which is out of the control of the city. But generally, businesses are operating within the city, schools, clinics, health facilities. There is life. We are here at the SABC now. SABC is able to operate because of the services that are supplied by the city. We shouldn't narrate an anecdote which simply says there is no hope from the city of Johannesburg. The fact that you receive municipal services right now, every day of the week, Monday to Sunday, there is a city's truck that stops at every property's doorstep to pick up, to collect refuse. That is a city which is functioning. There are parks, there are libraries, there's everything. Money that is collected through revenue generation
it's more to say as Abantu are giving a certain narrative which paints the city badly. And maybe by expect there's an encouragement of people not paying. I think it comes from a point of saying people,
cars and all those
maybe
things.
it's just an example, Nyaniso, so don't
take
that personal.
Which incites people
all right, hold it there. We're going to take a break.
Things.
I'm going to sort this out when we come back. I think it was just a notion that, you know what, we need answers before you implement such heavy tariffs as Abantu, and then we can pay. But yeah, my lines are still open. Ungasendela umqhafazo lapha ku Facebook as well as on consumer at sabc.co.za. We're back shortly after this. Going down. Liyashisa le ndaba njengalo gesi lo osibiza kakhulu la eJohannesburg. A lot of you were surprised uma niya lapha ukuthi your recharger from the 1st of July. Not only did you get the additional tariff increase, lega 12.7% to be announced in NERSA last year, there was also an additional 200 rand for labo bantu abasebenzisa ama prepaid meters. I do have with me in studio Nyaniso Jeku ovela lapha city of Johannesburg alongside Ms. Jennifer Tselentis Tselentis ovela lapha eSangtu, of which is iunion ngembukele ebhekele amalungelo abantu, and they've been part and parcel of yonke lengxoxo le ukuthi kuze kufikwe la ukuthi bazama ukundefenda, because some people simply cannot afford ukuthi bakhokhe lama prizes amasha ombani. Let's go back to the lines. Anonymous again here in Johannesburg. Sekwamukela ohlelweni umbuzo noma umbono.
Hello.
Hi, Anonymous. How are you?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, sir. How are you? Anonymous?
Hello.
Yes. Yes, can you hear me, Bob?
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you,
Thanks
Dad.
for taking.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Baba, please turn your TV set down.
Yes.
Yes, and go ahead with your question.
I want just to say, Mr. Jeku, please don't play with us.
Yeah, but Dad, go ahead. Anonymous? All right. I think we are struggling with that line. Nyaniso, I think he was about to say something else there. But I don't know. Maybe for me, looking at it from a logical point of view, whereby people don't need to be misled or fight, transparency. I know uba ubusicho Nyaniso uba maybe the reason why people are so aggrieved in Johannesburg is because abanye omasipala, they've been charging this surge amount, but khange bathi yona nansi 200 rand eyokwenza lento nantontonton, and we appreciate that. But I think a lot of people still don't understand uba how did you arrive at 200 rand? Why not 50 rand? And as a build up, ubana we get used to the fact that we are paying for maintenance and we are paying for services, because yes, dinga at the end of the day.
I think what needs to be also explained is the issue of public participation that you asked about.
Yes.
Really, Umaspala, before increasing tariffs, goes out to the public and conducts a public participation.
I wasn't asked to contribute.
The officials of the city, councillors, it's
where was it advertised?
Led on newspapers, through social media. Direct SMSs were sent to all customers. We've got a database of all property
owners. When
did
you put this up?
And then these messages were sent out long ahead of the public participation process.
Long ahead? Let's talk dates.
This, I think.
Did you remind the public?
This year, when we did public participation,
I never got one.
This year, ahead of the implementation of the tariff. So that is the process. It was there. It was advertised. I mean, if you want proof, we can consolidate that and send it to you. That this is where we advertised.
But Nyaniso, do you think the message reached the intended people? Because the reason they're now retaliating is because they simply feel, and this has been my point the whole show, they feel that this was not communicated to them adequately.
You see, I don't want to say the reason they are retaliating this way. How many people are retaliating versus the number of account holders in the city of Johannesburg. We bill 1.2 million accounts. The city of Johannesburg have got 900,000 properties in the city of Johannesburg. Take those numbers and make a comparison of those who are complaining. This is also worsened by the publication that it's get, and it's understood. And I think what must happen is that, one, we need to understand that this is what is happening. And at a public participation process, consumers, customers, residents of the city of Johannesburg have got every right to raise their queries, to say this is what we propose. We do not agree with this. And I can tell you, there is no word where there's no region. We have 7 of them, A to G, across the city of Johannesburg, where there was no public participation. Councillors were there. The city's executive leadership was there, led by the speaker. And this happened across the city. What often happens, and I attend these sessions, is that you find that because the leadership is here, a lot of issues that get raised sometimes don't necessarily link up with critical things. People will get there and raise issues of unemployment and many other things. There is no program that must the city implement without consulting the public.
Anonymous from Durban once again. Anonymous from Durban. Sakwamukela ohlelweni umbuzo noma umbono. Hi, Anonymous.
Hi.
Kunjani sis?
Ngisacela ukubuza ukuthi eGoli kukhulunywa ngeGoli ekubeni nathi la eKZN la eThekwini siyafa ukulokhuza ukukhokhela ugesi kodwa nje ekubeni thina singabantu abadala kodwa nje 1000 ihamba nje ingabonakali nokuthi ishonaphi asipheki ngawo sipheka ngegas kodwa nje ugesi nje uyabiza nje.
Okay, siyabonga Anonymous. Well, basically, Jennifer, she's saying she's from KZN, right? So she undertakes and notes the fact that they don't have that surcharge, particularly as we have yet in Johannesburg, in KZN. So she says just electricity in general is overly expensive. So what do you advise consumers, before I let you finish your point, Nyaniso, on that nitty-gritties of details?
To answer one question.
Yes.
I asked you whether you were ring-fencing this amount of money so that it would be exclusively used to fix the infrastructure. You didn't answer it. You just went on and on and on. And in fact, every question we've asked you, you've just gone on and on and on. Let's find out, are you ring-fencing that, or is it going into the general pool of money for Johannesburg?
The collection of 200 rands goes towards maintaining the infrastructure.
Is it being ring-fenced?
You see now, when she says ring-fenced, she needs to explain what
Maybe
she means.
elaborate, Jennifer, in terms of ring-fencing.
Say you take the 200 rands.
Wait for her to elaborate, Nyaniso.
200 rand, you collect 100,200 rands, okay? Nice money every month, okay? And you put it in an account when you do your accounting and your budgeting that says infrastructure development and repair. And all the 200 rands
go into
there,
that directly.
And you draw from that when your guys start relaying cabling or whatever you have to do, okay? It doesn't go into, on your budget sheet, it doesn't go into general for electricity or general for the council budget. It goes into a separate accounting budget. It's not necessary to say, okay, you now go to ABSA and you open a new account and you put a new name on. It's your accounting system. So I'm asking you if you ring-fencing, in other words, setting aside this money to be used exclusively for maintenance and development of your infrastructure.
All right, let him answer.
The answer is yes or no.
You know, it can't be yes or no. She's oversimplifying a very complicated way of managing the city. That's the first thing. Firstly, if she says, are you ring fencing? Yes, the 200 rands goes exclusively towards the infrastructure maintenance and network availability. But even that 200 rands is not enough, and I'll tell you why it's not enough. You take the number of customers who are on prepaid. Let's say we have 250 residential customers who are on prepaid, and then you multiply by the 200 rands. It gives you how much? 600,000 per annum. 600,000 per annum cannot maintain even electricity network that takes electricity to a household alone. It's very little. So that money which is paid by customers contributes to the bigger city's budget that is set aside for managing infrastructure.
All right.
Hence I'm saying she's oversimplifying, and the city does not say this amount of money will only service prepaid customers and this amount of money will service postpaid. I said earlier, there's one network and infrastructure of the city of Johannesburg that moves from the city's station to the substation to a household. You are all sharing that. So it is not a matter of saying your 200 rand will only be used for that. That 200 rands, the city actually tops up 600,000 per annum if there are 250 customers who are paying prepaid.
We are complicated worse now, Nyaniso, so let's hold it there and take our final ad break. This is getting more complicated by the hour, but Nyaniso, where exactly this money is going and what are some of the plans around Leo collection, Yalabo 200 rand. We're going to take our final ad break. Your lines are still open. We're back shortly after that. It is our our final segment. I'm still with Nyaniso Jeku of the city of Johannesburg, as well as Ms. Jennifer Tselentis from Sangtu. And of course, Mbugeli Utabalethu namhlanje was the new 200 Rand tariff for prepaid meter users here in Johannesburg, as well as the additional NERSA 14 or 12.47% tariff increase in Nhlangane nayo laphaya ngomhla 1 July. Let's quickly go to your Facebook messages. Urudi Mashamaite uthi, I love this program with all my heart. Thank you so much. Wena Rudi Untlagacele Emkhazini uthi, the cost of living is very high. If there is other ways to reduce, then we can be happy and coming with solutions as the public because we are currently in a crisis. So do you take this as Uguti Abantu? So people are not saying we're not going to pay for the services. Obviously, siyazubana infrastructure and everything, air cost, and we need to pay for it. But can you be more inclusive, Nischele Natuba, see be part of the solution? That's because right, yeah. We are all in a crisis.
We agree, we accept that, and we call on the public to always come out in large numbers to raise their views whenever there's public participation, number one. Number two, they can always, through their councillors, pass on messages to councillors for debate in council, because that's where decisions of the city are taken. We sympathize with the public. We wish we could offer these services for free, but we can't.
How long will these 200 rands be charged?
It's monthly for the duration of this financial year.
Okay.
Yeah. From now, because all the tariffs are effective 1 July 2020 till 30 June 2023. Then another tariff increases or revision come into place. So it's the whole year, and the public will have an opportunity during the course of the year.
Please come here before you implement the next thing.
If we want us to use SABC as part of the public participation, we do. But we advertise in SABC. I mean, we pay SABC, go to a commercial. They will tell you. But seriously, all those who are hard hit, come forward. If you find yourself unable to pay your bill, we offer structured payment arrangements. We've got rebates on your property rates. The first 100,000 is free. Every residential customer get electricity of water of 6,000 liters for free. Indigent customers, extended social package, pensioners, there are rebates all the way. Apply for such services. It will help alleviate the burden you're experiencing and pay your municipal services all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Very quick one, Jen. We're wrapping up now.
You know, I agree with them, and
you've got 20
I think
seconds.
There needs to be more public...
More robust engagement.
More engagement. We know things are expensive. We know that you guys have expenses too.
All right, Nyaniso Enkosi, so much. Nyaniso Jeku, as always, from the city of Johannesburg. Jennifer, lovely input there. Miss Jennifer Tselentis there from SATU. And of course, we've had your numbers throughout this program. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be calling you in terms of getting you support as well, so that you can go and lodge your case with the COJ. Nyaniso, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the program. Let me thank our guests for making time to be with us today. For your participation. Remember, you can catch our repeats too. You can catch us on SABC Plus, and as you heard, look out for those adverts. Look out for public participation and understand nani you have a voice. Thetani nama councillors wenu. Umajali unonhlanhla uthi unithanda lonke emakhaya. Usale kahle. Yilungelo Lakho.